Welcome everybody to this week's SAM USA 10-Minute Tuesdays. I'm Joe Templin, the CEO and founder of the Intro Machine. And with me, as usual, is my co-host and friend, Mickey Straub from SAM USA. How are you doing today, Mickey?
Doing great, Joe. I'm feeling good and very excited about today's topic. I know you're very passionate about it as well. I think it really is that not just the secret of how is the secret of success. So look forward to sharing a few nuggets of wisdom for our audience.
Yep. And as we discussed last week, if you don't have a why, you won't start. But if you don't have a how, you won't finish. And ultimately, in our profession, in all sales, if you don't finish, you don't get paid. And being a capitalist, I like to get paid. I assume you like to get paid too, Mickey. And so the how is really the engineering application. It's where a lot of the science comes into it. It is the road to success instead of just having a map. You actually have to take the journey. And there's multiple ways to go about reinforcing your how, because motivation will last a little bit of time and then wear off. But having a plan that you can stick to of how you're going to do things, how many dials I'm going to make a day, how I'm going to get in front of XYZ person, decision maker. Those are the things that differentiate between dreamers and successful entrepreneurs and representatives. And so when it comes to the how, there's always our good old friend, the SAMBook, which I still utilize all the time because it forces me to do the daily things, to grind out what's needed every single day, whether it's 10 dials, whether it's 4 introductions, whether it's 1 new fact finder, whatever the hows are, that holds me accountable around it and is my external accountability partner, which is one of the reasons why Alcoholics Anonymous is successful, why lifting groups and running groups tend to be more successful, why having an agency client builder or a study group, those are all different hows to reinforce and make it happen. And the big thing I have found and was talking with a client this morning about is making sure you build out the standard operating procedures, the SOPs. If you're going to phone somebody, you have your phoning list with their numbers, so you're not messing around and wasting time. And then you have your standard operating procedure around it. You've got your language, which you've practiced. You get the appointment. How do you follow up to make sure that it's confirmed so that that client actually keeps, so you can actually have the meeting? When you first sit down with a potential client, do you have your agenda? Do you have a feeder list in your pocket so that you can get your introductions? And what questions are you going to ask? Do you have whatever form, your fact finder, your questionnaire, your risk tolerance things, all those things that you have so that you follow your standard operating procedures so that you can do the how of your sales process with your clients.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite topics of all times, because I think it was prompted by that book by Simon Sinek, to start with why, because that is so important. Such a great reminder as to having something that compels you to change your behavior. You need to know the why, but you can know all the whys you want, unless you know how to do it. You're probably that why is gonna wane. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm so passionate about activity management. I think it is the secret of how. It is ultimately the secret of how, and it's a book that I've been working on for a couple of years. There's a lot of things out there use the word secret, like the strangest secret, what I grew up on, that we become what we think about. We move in the direction of our most dominant thoughts. That's just so true. And having a formula, as you said, to be able to achieve your goal is the secret of how. It starts with empowering yourself with a concept that only one person controls your activity. You do. So if you want to make dials, it's up to you. You say, well, it's expected by my coworkers or my boss or my spouse. Ultimately, you have free will. God gave us free will, and it's up to you. You have control of your activities. Therefore, you have any result, any goal is within your reach. But one of the things you have to do, as Joe just alluded to, is break it down to bite-sized pieces. I know, Joe, you do that now, don't you, with your writing?
Yeah, I mean, I write every single morning. I set my timer for 25 minutes, and it's one of the first things that I do. I get up, I have the coffee, I read a couple of things, I hit the workout room, and then bang, I roll straight into the writing, and I write for a certain amount of time, whether it's absolute crap or it's incredible. I have to force myself to do that daily accountability, same way that I do 100 punches every single day, each hand for Taekwondo as my absolute minimum to know what I'm doing. Larry Bird shot 1,000 free throws every single day, which is how he became one of the greatest free throw shooters and Hall of Famers, because of that. How Kobe Bryant practiced every day after a game or practice. Okay. LeBron James has his routine that he goes through after every game to heal his body so that come the playoffs, he's able to play 40, 45 minutes every single time and win yet another championship. So having these hows reinforce and bring out the potential of those whys. And it could be activity management and tracking that 35 dials you need a day. It could be I'm going to practice this component of my language every single day, 10 times spread throughout the day. It can be any of these things, but the why reinforces the how and ultimately is what unlocks the success in production.
I think maybe Walter Bond got that idea from Larry Bird, because Walter Bond, one of our strategic partners and good friends of you and I, was really well known for saying that that's ultimately what got him into the NBA. He never started in college. He was challenged. He was told he'd never be able to make it, but he started shooting 1,000 free throws a day, and he got him to the NBA. And he also talks about how his habits weren't quite as committed as he needed to be to stay there, and he admits that falling off is why he left the NBA after 4 or 5 years. But he took that same lesson in the speaking world, and he made 25 phone calls a day for the first couple of years he was in business, and now he's a Hall of Fame speaker, all because he knew his why, motivated by it, but he also knew his how. And on that note, I'd like to make a kind of closing suggestion to our listeners. Another acronym, use of an acronym that I tend to favor is TSA. Now, when you think of TSA, you think of course, the transportation, or going to an airport. But TSA, I like to say, stands for tools, systems, and accountability. And those are 3 things that are key to making sure you carry through on the how. You have the right tools, whether it's tools, or it could be physical tools, like the SAMBook. Certainly, you got it. Paper's not dead. Tools are also your mobile phone, your computer to use for that too. But also, to a certain extent, having friends and accountability is also certainly an idea. Having a friend, accountability partner, will also help you do that. We also
remember,
systems.
The greatest champions want to be coached the hardest.
They do.
Always remember that. The greatest champions want to be coached the hardest. So if you don't want accountability, you're saying that you want to be mediocre at best.
Yep. Remember, guys, men and women, everyone listening to this today's show or today's podcast, that life is short and it's not a scrimmage. We don't get to play. We don't get to do it again. So you need the right tools, systems, accountability, partnerships, podcasts, whatever you need to do your best, so that when you're at the end of your road, I say, you know what, I did it my way. I did it, and I accomplished what I want to do, and I have the most amount of achievements and least number of regrets.
Yep. And that way you can go and play the game hard every day, because sales is an activity game, and introductions let you win the game every single day. Make it a great one, my friend.
You too.